What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
You know, Christian, typically we do these cold openings and they're real quick, but I gotta say, I'm very excited for one part of this episode where we, the Eagles fans, get to laugh at the misery of them, the Giants.
Playoff Paul George. Oh wait,
He's ours now. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Christian coming at you with a loaded episode to send you into your holiday weekend. We're breaking down episodes 5 and 6 of The Acolyte. I'll be breaking down House of the Dragon, a.k.a. that Hot D, Season 2, Episode 3. And then Christian and I, on a whim, because it started as we record this on July 2nd, we said, should we watch Hard Knocks and laugh at the New York Giants? And that's exactly what we're going to do. And if you're new to this podcast, Christian and I are both diehard Eagles fans. We're diehard Philly sports fans. And seeing the Giants up close and personal under a microscope is just oh so sweet, chef's kiss. So we'll be doing some of the Hard Knocks breakdowns over the next couple of weeks. I think it's only like 5 or 6 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty simple watch through with the first installment of Offseason Hard Knocks, or front office Hard Knocks, whatever they're calling it. But it's our chance to laugh at the Giants and their incompetence. And then we will get into the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes. But before we get into all of that, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and at StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. You can follow Christian on Twitter at @thewiz_PHI. You can follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It really does go a long way for helping the show continue to grow, helps more people find StreamerSZN. And Christian, by the looks of it, it looks like in the next couple of days, potentially, depending on when we can bang down scheduling, we're gonna have the second guest in StreamerSZN history coming on the pod pretty soon, which we're very excited about. We'll talk about that later in the show. But subscribe to the pod, because then we can get more cool guests on the show and do a lot more fun stuff with and for you guys. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. We're at 809 subscribers. Let's get to 1,000. Let's make that. It's been a long time coming. Let's make it happen. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers. Smash the like button. Ring the bell icon. Leave a comment down below. Let us know how you're feeling about The Acolyte, House of the Dragon. If you're watching Hard Knocks, and let us know what other shows and movies you may be watching, and leave them in the YouTube comment section. And we will check those out for sure. And of course, guys, get your merch from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. If you want to stand out in the crowd, it's July now. It's Deadpool and Wolverine month. You want to stand out when you're going to a packed movie theater with your friends, your family, and seeing a whole bunch of people looking like a bunch of weirdos, probably cosplaying as Deadpool in some GIMP outfits. Well, you can stand out in the crowd with your StreamerSZN merch and be comfortable styling and profiling all year round with your StreamerSZN t-shirts, hoodies. The hoodie is one of the coolest pieces of merch I own, and it is one of the most comfortable hoodies I've ever owned. You can get yours. Go to phiapparel.co. Stand out in the crowd, whether you're going to the movie theater, Netflix and chilling with your significant other, having a family movie night, whatever it may be. If you're binging your favorite shows and movies, do it comfortably with our friends at PHI Apparel Company. Go to phiapparel.co And when you go to checkout, use our code underground at checkout for 10% off your order. And when you get your merch, tag us in a post. We'll repost it. PHI Apparel Company will repost it. That's phiapparel.co and get 10% off your order with code underground at checkout. Christian, the Acolyte is back. We have 2 episodes to break down.
Speaking of space gimps,
You got me good with that one.
so all right, Kyle, explain. Explain that.
So, for anybody who is not on Twitter specifically, when it was revealed who Manny Jacinto's character was behind the mask, everyone was referring to Homeboy as Darth Gimp, which may be one of the funniest fan name nicknames for a Star Wars character of all time.
No one cared who I was until I put on the mask.
50 Shades of Star Wars?
No, it's what's it? 50 Shades of Space Bane.
Absolutely amazing. Send us all your Darth Gimp memes on Twitter at StreamerSZN.
Preferably with some Pulp Fiction photoshops.
Yes. So we have 2 episodes to break down. Last week's episode titled Night, and then today's episode, as we record this on Tuesday, back to the this or that title called Teach/Corrupt. Pretty much the way I was viewing things from breakdowns I was watching, Christian, it felt like some of the things got cut or they lost, the ability to have more episodes. It feels like Day and Night were supposed to be one giant episode after watching the night portion of this bad boy, because we said after our last episode that episode 4 felt like the most incomplete episode of the season. A lot of people felt that way. And then you watch episode 5 and it's like, holy shit, this show is back. And it just felt like, why couldn't we have just done this song and dance and made them all one episode?
Who could have seen this coming?
Gasp. But we are going to get into episode 5 of The Acolyte first. I know we're a little bit behind on that one, but it's just how schedules played out this week. But
blame Kyle.
Yeah, car. Woohoo. If you know anybody who has a reliable used car for sale, slide in my DMs because your boy is looking. But this is episode 5 of The Acolyte. It was directed by Alex Garcia Lopez, who also directed last episode we broke down, episode 4, and it was written by Cor Adana and Cameron Squires. Don't know if either of them. No, this was their first and only episode of the season in terms of writers. Gotta say, this episode's writing and flow a lot more fluid and functional than episode 4. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like a more coherent episode of television that I was watching.
Which one are we talking about again?
Episode 5, Night.
Yes.
Like, it just felt like I was watching like a complete portion of television.
So, and also say this. This is the episode where I feel like they got back that Teach Corrupt felt like, okay, we're finally getting to the thesis of this show.
Yes.
Which I'll share some thoughts on that later, but 6 episodes in?
6 out of 8.
6 in, we're finally getting the big thesis episode.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't harp on it this early.
But here's episode 5, titled Night. The mysterious warrior kills all the Jedi except your Jecki and Soul. Sol saves Osha from the warrior and demands that he reveal his identity. The warrior claims that they have already met and then vanishes into the forest. That portion, I'm going to take a time out right there. That portion was interesting to me, especially after watching this week's episode, because it really does kind of have your mind in a pretzel now, having seen episode 6. Who was Kymir's, Jedi master that he was working under while he was studying the ways of the Jedi? Was it Sol, or was it the green alien of the episode?
I'm starting to feel like based on how things kind of played out and some of the suspicions that it was good old Green, but because you would think Saul would recognize him,
Right. Agreed. But that was interesting to me that it's like, oh, you should know who I am. And I'm guessing it's just from earlier in the season when they were in that market and everything. And you kind of saw his face already. Jackie captures May, but the mysterious warrior arrives to kill May for trying to betray him. Jackie breaks the warrior's mask before she is killed, revealing him to be dun 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 Chimere. And we should have all seen it coming. Sol arrives and questions Chimere, who says the Jedi might call him Sith, and it was confirmed by the showrunners and the show creator that he is technically a Sith. So that's something to keep in mind for sure as the rest of the show plays out. And he now intends to kill them all to keep his existence secret. Yord ambushes Chimere, but is quickly killed. Sol fights and overpowers Chimere, but is stopped from killing him by Osha, who plants a light on Chimere, which was basically the head of her little droid Pip, that causes those giant forest bugs to attack him and carry him away. Very reminiscent of the bats in the Demobats in Stranger Things season 4 when they all attack Eddie. May uses Osha's stun gun on Sol so she can speak with Osha, but they end up arguing about each other's choices, and May uses the Force to knock Osha unconscious. May steals Osha's clothes and poses as her, returning with Sol to the Jedi ship. They are followed by a suspicious Basil, our little beaver friend. Chimere frees himself from the bugs and comes across the unconscious Osha as we see her tattoo revealed. The biggest part of this, Christian, is that twice in this episode, I don't know if you picked up on it or if you had seen anybody do the breakdown on this, twice in this episode, I think it's very key, we got the theme song of the one, the only, Kylo Ren.
I did see this shared on social media.
I find this very interesting. I like this tie-in per se, because it feels like they're setting some sort of baseline up to introduce the Knights of Ren, which is very cool.
Which, again, where does this land in the timeline again?
So the Acolyte is 100 years before the prequels. So before episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Which lines up with the book material that the Knights of Ren come from.
I don't know the book material, so
I only have learned it from breakdowns and everything, but the Knights of Ren are basically how Kylo Ren came to be and like the leader of the Sith. For all you nerds out there, they're always in twos, and that's why it's the power of two and everything.
Which in the next episode we'll also talk about something Kylo Ren-ish connected.
Yes. Power of two. Sith are always in two, and they're always planning to bring up their own Padawan almost and get rid of the big bad. And we see that throughout Star Wars all the time. But the Knights of Ren are where Kylo Ren's name comes from, and he kind of adopts being the next leader of the Knights of Ren, and that's why his face is covered, potentially in the same type of material that Chimere's mask is. And that's why we see all those cracks on Kylo Ren's mask. It's very reminiscent. It's very cool. And that mask metal, for everybody at home, I'm gonna Google it as we get set to break down the next episode.
It's vibranium.
It's vibranium of Star Wars is pretty much what it is, and that's why Chimere is able to use it as a shield to power down lightsabers and break lightsabers and everything. It's pretty cool. I like it. It shows that lightsabers aren't indestructible, or that they are, vulnerable to being destroyed. They're not just this like overpowering item that we've come to know. So that's pretty interesting. That there is a metal out there that can decimate them. I really enjoyed this episode. I did find it very funny that Chimere's like this powerful being, has the ability to, destroy lightsabers and everything, but then is like fighting for his life against these giant bugs as he gets carried into the sky, and has no way to stop them on screen, at least. Again, I wish that episodes 4 and 5 were just like one giant hour-long episode. I feel like it would have made so much more sense to do it that way. But I think this episode was a very awesome rebound, and I was like, okay, this show isn't hopeless. We're not falling off the rails. We kind of got the mine car back on the rails with this episode.
See, I would say I had the same problems. It was slightly better than the fourth episode, but it things didn't really kick back until we hit the sixth one for me.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say that this was like a sensational episode. Like, it felt like a part 2 of an episode that should have been combined. But definitely a rebound from episode 4 in my book. Also, the metal that is Chimere's helmet is called cortosis. It's in a lot of Star Wars books. If you want to do more reading on it, go for it. But like Christian said, it is the vibranium of the Star Wars universe.
It sounds like something that it sounds like something your eyes would have. Cortosis.
Yes. It also has the ability to keep force sensitives from peering into your thoughts, so prevents Jedi mind tricks and mind reading, which I think is also something that we should keep in the back of our brains with this mask. But Christian, your score for episode 5, Night of the Acolyte, to give you a little update from your score from last episode. On the Star Wars scale, you gave it a 6.8. On the regular TV scale, you gave it a 5.
Let's bump it up to 7-1 on Star Wars, 5-5 on regular.
I am going to give it. It was definitely an improvement from last week for sure. I think I'm going to give this episode a 7.5. A bounce back, but like Christian also said and alluded to, episode 6 really got us back on the path we're going to and got us from derailing. But I'll give it a 7.5. Christian gives it a 7.1 on the Star Wars scale and a 5.5 on the regular TV scale, which is added up a nice little fat 12.6. Divide that by 2, it's a 6.3, plus my 7.5. Divide that by 2, it's a 6.9. What a very nice episode. Episode 5 of The Acolyte certainly was. But let's get into today's episode. Teach/Corrupt, directed by Hanel Culpepper, who worked on television shows such as 90210, Parenthood, Criminal Minds, Revenge, Grimm, and Star Trek Discovery, along with other series. It was written by Leslie Headland and Jocelyn Bio. To pull up some of Jocelyn Bio's work, she's a playwright, which I think is pretty cool. And looking here, she's worked off Broadway and in a bunch of like theatrical type of things. So different approach, I would say, for sure. than what we are accustomed to from the Star Wars universe. But I like that. I like that, different switch up there. Teach/corrupt, Christian. We're back to the slashed episodes. This is probably one of the better episodes, if not the best episode of the season, in terms of just like plot development. And like you said, it's kind of the thesis episode of what we're getting into with the Acolyte. I enjoyed it a lot because it kind of flipped your initial thoughts of some of these characters on their heads a bit and reversed a lot of the roles for the time being, per se. I definitely agree with you. Like, this episode really got us back on track to where we felt like this show could go.
Yeah, like this is the best I've felt since the first 2 episodes. And I still don't think it's as good as the first one, because I think the first one's just pure just like great Star Wars intro stuff. But this one's the one where it finally gets to its advertised thesis of, are the Jedi good? Which, props to, scrolls back up, big why am I already missing the cast list again? Big props to Manny Jacinto, because he does a great job in kind of being Soul's Yang
Mm-hmm.
to his Yang, and paints a compelling, reasonable case. Whereas we see on the flip side, it's spinning out of control for the Jedi.
Yeah.
And hold on, let me just 1 second. And I think my biggest gripe here is that it took us till episode 6 to do this. Like,
Yeah.
we have 2 episodes left.
Yep.
Like, we shouldn't be getting we shouldn't be getting the thesis in the 3rd act. We should have gotten the thesis, and I hate to be doing this, in like theater 3, in episode 3, which they loosely try and do it in the episode 3 flashback episode, but we don't have the Yang to the Jedi Yin.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, we have the Yin to match the Yang. Like, it is made clear, it is to the point, and it just continually makes me question, like, why did we have to have that episode exist there in that form instead of spreading out flashbacks across the season?
Yeah. Especially, we were talking before we even started recording, like, we still have a flashback that we saw in trailers that we haven't seen yet with young Lee Jung Jae back in the day, and figuring out, what did he not tell everybody? What's his dark secret? We're not going to find that out, I would assume, next week, because flashback episode number 1 was Koganada. Christian, can you guess who
I
next
know,
week's episode is?
My boy Koganada.
Can I make you feel a little bit better, though? The finale is Henel Culpepper again.
So, how about this? So, I think we need to talk about the opening line of the Wikipedia summary for this episode.
Which, for everybody listening, watching at home, if you haven't watched already, Christian, do you want to dish out this week's spoiler warning?
We're already 1 episode in. It's pointless at this point. Let's just keep going.
This is a spoiler warning. If you haven't watched it already, put on your cortosis mask and go watch the episode. So the first sentence is, Osha is rescued and cured by Chimere on an unknown planet.
Bitch, please. I know those grassy hills and rocky islands were any from anywhere.
I was getting Rocky Mountain High.
Hold on. Rocky, I need the name of the planet. Hold on. Rocky Mountain High. Keeps trying to scroll through this. Rocky Mountain High. Atahachto? Is that how you say the planet name? AHCH-TO?
I think so. If
I-
it's not, everybody, it's made up.
Yeah, but unknown planet. Are you sure about that?
This may be the very first time they've ever done that in a galaxy far, far away. And you're telling me this is the one time where you have multiple people knowing the exact coordinates of this place, and you don't know where they are. And then Vernestra just simply knows exactly where they are. These damn green aliens just know everything. I also don't trust her as far as I can throw her. She's on the sus meter like no other.
The only Jedi I feel like we've been able to remotely trust, aside from our favorite rest in peace Padawan, is sold to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But speaking of Chimere, right? That's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
When he was just chilling there in the water.
Horny.
Well, no. So this is what I warned you about before the beef for the podcast, Kyle. Why does this dude make me think of Ezra Miller if he wasn't insane?
No. Oh.
Slender with long hair.
Oh.
Am I wrong for seeing that? Right? Do you see it?
I pretend not to see.
But you do
Oh,
see. You see
that's
all.
terrible. We're sorry, Manny Jacinto. We're sorry.
Yes.
But yeah, if you scroll through hashtag the Acolyte on Twitter right now, it is some of the horniest Star Wars shit ever. Just from that one scene. Christian, ladies and gentlemen, ready the bonk arrows. On my command, fire!
Ready the bonk bazookas next.
But yeah, unknown planet, like Christian said, bullshit. Chimere reveals that he was once a Jedi, betrayed by his master, and attempts to bring Osha closer to him without success. Yeah, go put your clothes on, Chimere, you freak. She slowly begins to open up to him, and on the Jedi ship at Kofar, interference disrupts Sol's attempts to contact the Jedi Council. A partial message about losing his whole team makes it to Coruscant, and when power on the ship suddenly fails, Sol orders May to try to fix it, thinking she is Osha, and she uses a restored pip. She went and factory reset that thing like it was an iPhone. May tries to get Sol to tell her the truth about what happened on Brendok, but they're interrupted when the ship's power is restored. May tries to contact anyone to rescue her, but Sol neutralizes her after realizing her identity. And when May wakes up, Soul says he will tell her the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help him God. Also I don't remember, has Soul had those black gloves on the entire time? That felt new. I don't know why. Something I picked up on, just a minor detail. If somebody knows, let us know in the YouTube comment section. Vernestra had a small band of Jedi travel to Kofar to investigate Soul's message. They find a massacre. Look at how they massacred my boys. With
And girls.
evidence and girls and
And
Jedi
aliens.
of lightsaber battle, leading Vernestra to suspect a fallen Jedi is responsible. A what now? A video game? Following his offer, Osha tries on Kymir's repaired helmet. That scene was very, very cool and very well done. I love the POV of that ending scene and the helmet going on and it leading to the credits. But to rewind a little bit, we finally got lightsaber whip from Vernestra. It's about damn time we saw that in action. I was ready to cue the Indiana Jones music. Very cool how she whipped that thing like no other and was ready to just destroy all those giant bugs. She sus as all hell. She knows way more than she's letting on. And I like that I'm feeling this way because it makes me know that this show is like adding value again. But like you said, it sucks that it took until now to get there. But I also like the flip-flopping of the twins, and one twin kind of like now being with Soul is like trying to figure out what the fuck happened when she was younger. And with Osha being with Kymir, she's kind of like diving into her feelings and, you know, realizing why she failed as a Jedi and all of that. And then she pops that helmet on, and now we might have a little role reversal, and May becomes, you know, one with the Jedi and Osha becomes one with the Sith. That's the fun part about what this show is. It makes you question so much. And I wish we had more of it leading into this episode. But what did you make of this episode as a whole, Christian?
This is what I've been waiting for this show to get back to. This made me happy. I was far more engaged than I've been for weeks on this show. So it was good to see.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It still has a lot of questions, both good and bad. But I'm back on like the intrigue train, and that's very fun. Where we go from here, I'm assuming next week is a flashback. We have 3 writers listed on this one: Charmaine DeGratte and Jen Richards and Jasmine Flournoy. Jen Richards is the only one with a Wikipedia page. Let's see. Well, this is very interesting. Jen Richards in 2015, Christian, she appeared as a supporting cast member of Caitlyn Jenner's reality show, I Am Kate. And in 2016, she co-starred, co-directed, co-wrote, and co-produced the web series Her Story, which was nominated for an Emmy Award. And Richards also co-produced the series More Than Tea and wrote the Trans 102 series. She joined the cast of the television series Nashville in 2017, and she became the first openly transgender person to appear on a CMT show, playing the first transgender character to appear on that network. Richards also appeared in the 2017 film Easy Living. And looking at some of her other credits here, nothing too stand outish. TV wise, her most recent project that she started was 8 episodes of Mayfair Witches in 2023. And then film wise, she was in MK Ultra and Framing Agnes in 2022. Those are her most recent projects. But I'm assuming next week is the flashback with Kogonada back in the fold. And then episode 8 is Hanel Culpepper again, and written by Jason Michaeleff. Apologies if that's mispronounced. we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out and ends up playing out. I have heard rumblings that there's going to be a season 2 of this show, so it may not be done at episode 8, which kind of has me feeling a little bit better about things flow wise, but we'll see if that truly happens. But what are you dishing out for episode 6, Teach/Corrupt? Your first 2 episode scores I have as well, if you want to
Yeah, give me my second episode score.
Your second episode score, Star Wars scale, you gave it a flat 8. Regular TV, you gave it a 7.2.
Regular TV 6.8. Star Wars 7.9.
Boom. So 7.9 plus a 6.8 divided by 2 is a nice 7.4 rounded up. I am going to give this episode, I think I'm going to give it a natural 7.9 as well. Got us back on track, still has a bunch of questions. The unknown planet thing was just fucking hilarious. It just sucks that, like we mentioned time and time again, that it took to episode 6 to kind of get to this point. But I will say, if there is a season 2 and it's just continuing on, if that is rumored to be true, then maybe we can kind of reassess and reevaluate where things go from there. But as of now, it's kind of a bummer that it took this long to get there. So Christian's score plus my score divided by 2 rounds up to a 7.63, which is a 7.6 for episode 6 of The Acolyte. We have 2 episodes left. It's going to be a doozy of a time, and I'm excited to kind of see where it all goes.
Kyle, breaking news. Da-da-da, da-da-da. The Golden State Warriors are in serious talks on a sign and trade deal to acquire Buddy Hield.
Oh,
The Warriors and 76ers have been in deep discussions working to finalize the deal for bench.
So who are we getting back?
Pulls up Warriors roster page. I am not apologizing to the audience for this detour, but
Not at all.
it's not Kuminga. It's not Draymond.
Could you imagine?
Dude, Draymond plus Embiid would be so toxic.
2 rival podcasts on the same team too.
I mean, I hate that I'm saying this because I don't think it's functional and the contract is hell. But why do I have a weird feeling that like Gary Payton II's involved?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, this feels like you're dragging in Moses Moody. Now, see, here's the thing. We're saying all this because we have no clue what Buddy Hield's worth on the opening market in a signing trade.
Right.
And our problem is we need wings, and the Warriors don't have wings.
Right.
And I refuse to believe that this is a Kuminga trade, and there's no way. There's no way Daryl takes on takes on Wiggins, right?
I was gonna say this better not be Andrew Wiggins.
It can't be. Surely not.
Unless the Warriors are like re-signing Dario to trade Dario here, which I'm all on board for bringing Dario Saric home. That's so strange. Who tweeted that?
Shams.
See, I got a bone to pick with that motherfucker. Ever since he signed that little sports gambling deal,
Yeah, I
he's
saw this. I saw that.
he's been a little sus.
Who did the Warriors draft in this draft?
Someone said now the Warriors are the Splash Buds? ?
Um, Strange. I mean, what if we just do this? Control F for yours. They only had a second round pick, so
Our good pal Sixers Adam just tweeted. All right, so the Warriors have 7.3 million left in their Klay Thompson TPE. My guess is Hield goes into that in a sign and trade, and the Sixers get a second rounder or two.
sure.
I'll take it. I'll take the picks.
I'll take the picks for a guy who wasn't going to be back on the team. Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Looking forward to seeing where the Acolyte takes us over the next couple of weeks. But Christian doesn't have his passport to go to Westeros, so I'm going to fly over there, break down the latest episode of The Hot D, House of the Dragon, episode 3. Personally, my favorite episode of the season. A lot of people bashing it, Christian. I know you're not watching, but a lot of people bashing, saying, oh, it's a setup episode, setting up things. It was phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. My favorite episode of the season. I'm going to fly over to Westeros, and when we get back, Christian and I are going to laugh our asses off at the New York Football Giants. Cue the music. Hey everyone, it's KB, and I am beyond excited to bring you this breaking news about a new project here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. Introducing Light the Flame, an Olympics podcast where all of your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia personalities will come together to discuss, banter, and break down the Olympic Games. Coming soon wherever you get your podcasts and on our YouTube channel throughout the 2024 Olympics and beyond. All right, everybody, welcome to Westeros of the streaming platform. It's KB coming at you with our House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 3 review. I have my Westeros passport. Dylan's still lost somewhere in the streaming platform Multiverse, and Christian doesn't have his Westeros passport. So I'm here breaking down House of the Dragon for you each and every week. I got to say, and if you're new to the show, welcome. I never watched Game of Thrones. I have not watched a single episode of the original Game of Thrones program. I watched season 1 of House of the Dragon in 2022 with Dylan on this show, obviously. And then I've been watching this season. And I got to say, guys, this season has been banger after banger after banger so far to kick things off. And I can only imagine what our next episode is going to be. But I do have to put this out there. This episode was my favorite of the season so far. And there's been a lot of people online not bashing, but kind of feeling underwhelmed by this episode, saying, oh, it's a setup episode. It's setting things up for next week. Sure. But guess what, guys? There's a great way to do a setup episode, and there's a bad way to do a setup episode. This was a 10 out of 10 home run, knocked it out of the park setup episode. And I thoroughly enjoyed this episode from start to finish. There's so many little details that happen in this episode that can't go understated. And it was directed by Geeta Patel, who we first were introduced to in 2022 for House of the Dragon, as a podcast, that is. And then she worked on an episode of Ahsoka, which was absolutely phenomenal. And now she's back for this episode, and I just saw she's directing the finale of season 2. And I gotta say, guys, Dylan and I, when we talk Mandalorian and Christian, when we talk Mandalorian and Star Wars and kind of those properties, that one's the most prevalent, where like if we see a certain director, we know that episode is going to be absolute heat. We talk about the Bryce Dallas Howards and so many different directors that if we see their name, we're like, oh, this episode's going to be great. I genuinely think we're in that territory full-fledged with Geeta Patel when it comes to House of the Dragon. When I see her name now, especially after this episode, I'm all in and I'm juiced and I am stoked she is directing the finale of this season. Geeta Patel is unbelievable with just her directorial vision, and some of the work that she has been a part of in her career is second to none. House of the Dragon, Ahsoka. She worked on Under the Bridge, which was on Hulu. Just looking here if there's anything else. The Mindy Project, she worked on 3 episodes for. Film-wise, Meet the Patels in 2014, Project Kashmir in 2008, Mindhunters in 2004. She was an associate screenwriter. She was an associate screenwriter for the Fast and the Furious 2001. Geeta Patel is from that famous clip on our TikTok and Instagram with myself and Joe Andrus, where we were like, oh, so the Fast and the Furious crew is going to show up in Ahsoka. Not the case, but Geeta Patel is an unbelievable member of the directorial staff on any show she works on. I would love to have her on this show. She is becoming quickly one of my favorite directors in Hollywood, and I love her vision and the way that she saw this episode and really created it is absolutely beautiful. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 3, titled The Burning Mill. It is the 3rd episode in the 2nd season of House of the Dragon, written by David Hancock, directed by our queen, Geeta Vasant Patel. So in King's Landing, I'm sorry, I should start here in the Riverlands. I apologize. A minor territorial dispute quickly escalates into a deadly battle between longtime enemies. Houses Bracken and Blackwood, resulting in ruination and many casualties. We get the burning mill following the discrepancies. You have one team that is House Green, the other House Black, and kind of just seeing the common folk. And I think that's what House of the Dragon is doing such a good part of with the storytelling so far this season, is showing how this Civil War feud between the Hightowers and the Targaryens and Rhaenyra and Alicent and Otto and Daemon and everybody involved is trickling down to the common folk and how it's affecting just people in society in King's Landing, and how it's truly just trickling down to the people. And it's very relatable for present day and seeing how, things in politics can really affect the common folk and just the average everyday person. It is a true parallel to some of the things we're experiencing right now in society. But a hard cut scene to one of our boys in this casualty, just with the sword in his neck. And I was like, oh, we're off to one hell of a start. So the happenings in King's Landing, Helena says she forgives Alicent and empathizes with small folk about losing children. That saying I forgive you the way that Helena did was such a backhanded, like, fuck you to her mom. It was awesome. Helena is such a unique character and provides such a depth of character that we don't necessarily get from anybody else in this show so far. And I just, that scene was so, like, it was so subtle but so powerful all at the same time, and I really appreciated it. Um, for what it means, you know, and the relationship that Helena has with Allison and the relationship that Allison has with Helena. It really showed the, hey, I know you fucked up and I know what you did, but I forgive you. But just know you fucked up. Um, Kristen Cole proposes a bold plan to take Harrenhal, a potential strategic military base, as Kristen is about to depart for Harrenhal with a military detachment. Gwaine Hightower, that's right, Gwaine, Allison's brother, unexpectedly joins them. Aegon also wants to accompany the campaign on his dragon Sunfire, but Larys diplomatically persuades him to remain in King's Landing. Aegon then appoints Larys as his master of whisperers. Um, in a brothel, a white-haired man claims to be a dragon seed and a bastard of Valyrian blood and the half-brother of the late King Viserys Targaryen and Prince Daemon. We saw him last week walking through the streets when all of the rat catchers were hanged and kind of got his perspective on things. He is allegedly a dragon seed. And when Aegon and his crew bring a new squire to the brothel to lose his virginity, they encounter a naked Aemond with Sylvie, who is his older mistress, and Aegon mocks his brother until Aemond angrily leaves and absolutely barked like a dog in his face, and we got full frontal dong from Aemond. Um, it it really showed the parallels from when they were at the meeting table where Aemond kind of has this, you know, stewardism about him, and that you can tell he's the older sibling and knows what war is going to be like, versus Aegon being a shithead, you know, ignorant, you know, king, has no idea what he's going to get himself into. And then he goes on the street because he is a kid and he's partying with the boys. And Aemond is just trying to have somebody to find comfort and peace in and with, because he doesn't have that motherly connection with Alicent whatsoever. And then Aegon mocks him for it, and he becomes the big dog. He's the street smart. Aemon's kind of the book smart sibling dynamic there, and it's interesting to kind of watch those parallels break down, where, you know, Aegon's gonna run it in the streets, Aemon's gonna run it, you know, when the time comes and it's time to strap up for battle. But he can kind of be vulnerable in his relationships and try to find some sort of peace and comfort in somebody, because he doesn't have that motherly connection anymore, because Alicent kind of wants nothing to do with them. So then we go to Harrenhal, where Daemon arrives at Harrenhal on Caraxes before Kristen's party reaches it, and Sir Simon Strong, the Castellan, pledges his loyalty to Rhaenyra. He denounces his grandnephew, Lord Larys Strong, claiming he had his own father, Lord Lionel, and his brother, Sir Harwin, killed in the fire at Harrenhal. Later that night, an unseen force beckons Daemon into a weirwood tree. There, he experiences a vision of a young Rhaenyra sewing Jaehaerys' head back onto his body, and he awakens, and a young woman standing nearby predicts his death will occur at Harrenhal. This was wild. This whole scene, this is kind of the ending scene of the episode, but it's important to break down here, in my opinion, because this was one of the most incredible scenes I have watched in House of the Dragon, season 1 or 2. The entire Harrenhal moments in this episode left you like speechless. It was beautifully shot, kind of giving you that eerie vibe of what Harrenhal is, and to truly like put yourself in Daemon's shoes, where you don't know what's coming, and then you have this mysterious figure, and I want to pull up her name so that it is um so Alice Rivers is who showed up at Harrenhal, and we see her when Daemon shows up too, and she doesn't bend the knee when everyone else in the room does. She's said to be a witch, and she's a healer who lives at Harrenhal, but her lore from Fire and Blood, the source material for House of the Dragon, is more complex. In the book, she's described as a wet nurse at Harrenhal and a bastard child of House Strong. Some even call her a witch. Could she be the spin-off series response to Game of Thrones witchy woman Melisandre? She also is said to have prophetic visions, and in one instance, she described as seeing a vision in a storm cloud in a mountain pool at dusk in the fire we lit to cook our suppers. She eventually becomes a powerful force for the Targaryens' Green faction. And in House of the Dragon, she first appears with Daemon at Harrenhal. You will die in this place. Did she see the future too? It is an interesting dynamic that I think we're going to get now with this character, because it's like, is she real? Is she something that Daemon's just seeing? And from what I have seen from the Weirwood trees from Game of Thrones, they produce like these weird visions and everything. So Daemon's going to kind of be in this weird space, I think, for the next couple of episodes, where it's like, is it real? Is it a vision? What is going on? He's going to be feeling this immense guilt for a lot of the things that he did, and I think they portrayed that in such an awesome way. And we get a guest cameo of Millie Alcock as young Rhaenyra again, kind of sewing the head back onto Jaehaerys. That was really cool to see Millie Alcock back. But the entire Harrenhal portion of this episode was fantastic. Like, no notes, chef's kiss. I loved every second of it. So at Dragonstone, this is earlier in the episode, Eric and Art Cargill are buried together. Rhaenys suggests to Rhaenyra that Alicent might be persuaded against war, and Rhaenyra sends sons Joffrey, Aegon, and Viserys to the Eyrie for protection and to continue House Targaryen should the Blacks fall. Rhaena is to accompany them, making her feel demoted because she has no dragon. She is mollified, however, when dragon eggs are entrusted to her care, which the producers confirm that the dragon eggs that were given to Rhaena are the future dragon eggs that Daenerys Targaryen in House of the Dragon receives because they fossilized. It makes sense. This is years and years and years before everything from Game of Thrones, so pretty cool little Easter egg, all pun intended there. En route to Harrenhal, Gwaine and a few soldiers recklessly head to a small village seeking amusement. Sir Criston Cole angrily races after them. Baela patrolling the area on Moondancer. Moondancer is an awesome dragon, by the way. Shout out to Robbie Fox. Clem is completely wrong on Moondancer. Moondancer rocks. And I forget if it was a producer or somebody said an influence from Moondancer's design was David Bowie. That fucks. That's awesome. Moondancer and Baela spot the men, but they escape into the trees. Baela reports this to Rhaenyra's council, who propose a war using their dragons. For her warning about Auric, Rhaenyra rewards Mysaria with a place at the court. That is our white worm. Mysaria advises Rhaenyra on how to secretly meet with Alicent in King's Landing, which Rhaenyra wants to do upon reading a message Alicent sent her. And then Rhaenyra and a guardsman sneak into King's Landing on a fishing boat disguised as a septa. She speaks to Alicent, who is at prayer in a sept, discussing the recent events leading to the conflict. Rhaenyra realizes that Alicent misunderstood Viserys' dying words about the Song of Ice and Fire prophecy, mistaking her son for Aegon the Conqueror. Alicent dismisses Rhaenyra's proposal, saying war can no longer be avoided. The memes that came from this episode were spectacular. Everybody online who dished out memes, especially the face of Rhaenyra, who realizes that Alicent is a dumbass motherfucker and has no clue what she just got the entire kingdom involved into because she's an idiot and was being selfish and misunderstood the words of a dying corpse. Ugh, it's so validating. This also should let everyone know in King's Landing, in Westeros, stop fucking naming your kids Aegon. There's too many of them running around at the same time. There's too many that are still in the zeitgeist of your lineage. Stop naming your kids Aegon. It's getting too confusing. There's too many Aegons. There's too many AE names to begin with in the universe right now. Let's get some unique names going. Let's figure something out. We got Rhaenys, Rhaenyra, Rhaena, like Aegon, Aemond. Auric. Like there's too much. There's too much going on. We got to get some more unique names going on in Westeros. This episode though was absolutely brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Rotten Tomatoes rating was a 95% based on 19 reviews with an average rating of 7.8 out of 10. It received a 4.75 out of 5 stars from TV Fanatic, a 4 out of 5 stars from Den of Geek. Screen Rant noted that the episode was narratively chaotic with a logistically challenging ending, but praised the battle of the burning mill at the beginning of the episode for keeping a strong thematic track. I disagree with that there. Carly Lane of Collider and Helen O'Hara of IGN both scored it an 8 out of 10. CBR gave it a 7 out of 10. And let's see. AV Club gave it an A-, which I believe is the first A grade of the season. I thought this episode was brilliant. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. Was so enjoyable. Like I said at the top, it's my favorite episode of the season, hands down. And the fact that was a build-up episode allegedly, and a planting the seeds for what's to come this coming week, which the episode is titled A Dance of Dragons. Hello. We're about to get dem dragons all over the place. This episode was so brilliant, so well done, so well curated and executed from start to finish, in my opinion. I love this episode. It's one of my favorite episodes of TV I've watched this entire year. Hands down. This show has been off to a brilliant start, and I can't wait to see how things unfold at the mid-season point this coming week, and how things go in the second half of the season. Even though it's only an 8-episode season, they've done such a brilliant job so far of just curating banger episode after banger episode after banger episode. Geeta Patel, you are my hero. Please, open invite to come on this podcast. We would love to have you. And my score for House of the Dragon season 2, episode 3. If you're new to the show, I rated episode 1 a 9.2 out of 10, and last week's episode a 9.4 out of 10. This was my favorite episode of the season so far. I loved it. And for that reason, it's getting a 9.7 out of 10, guys. I know that seems high. I know that's huge on the scale, and every episode so far has received a 9.2 or higher. But guess what? This season's off to a phenomenal start, and I am loving it. And this episode was just so awesome. There's so much to take away from it, to bring with you as the season unfolds and progresses. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Let me know in the YouTube comment section how you're enjoying House of the Dragon season 2 so far, your expectations, your predictions, with no spoilers from the book. And we'll see how things play out moving forward, but I can't wait to see how it goes. But without any further ado, let's fly back from Westeros and jump back to myself and Christian breaking down Hard Knocks Offseason with the New York Giants. All right, everybody, we are going to be talking some Hard Knocks for the first time on this show. And fun fact, I have never watched Hard Knocks. So this was kind of my first dive into the show. I've only ever watched clips and gotten the reading updates from some of my pals that work at the old NFL Network.
Well, this isn't even normal Hard Knocks. It's a new Hard Knocks for a new section of the offseason,
which I find a lot more intriguing from just learning standpoint about a sport and learning how inept or fantastic an organization can be. And we're learning how inept the New York Giants are through one episode.
Yeah, I would much rather watch Baltimore Ravens, Philadelphia Eagles, Green Bay Packers. I don't want to be watching the Giants.
I'm gonna pull up the page here. But before we get into all of this, Christian, I do want to talk to the people about a new partner on the network, and that is our pals, Duracell and their portable power stations. That's right. This portion of today's episode is brought to you by our new partner, Duracell portable power stations from the #1 trusted battery brand. Duracell portable power stations and charging hubs allow you to power your laptops, mobile devices, lights, speakers, and any small electronics that make your life easier during a power outage or while you're away from a wall outlet. Guys, we're always on the go. We're always, traveling. We're doing live shows out on the road. Duracell is going to make all of this that much easier and that much more possible with their awesome portable power stations. We're going to clean up some of the charging down here in the studio. I'm very excited about this partnership. They are, how can you not love Duracell? They are the #1 trusted battery brand in the world, and their charging stations are second to none. So click the link in the description and check out the Duracell portable power stations, including their 2024 Red Dot award-winning M150 and M250 models, and untether your device charging from the wall and power the possibilities with Duracell portable power stations. Hard Knocks Offseason Edition, Episode 1 for the New York Giants, Christian, was
Saquon Barkley.
and Daniel Jones's knee. I gotta say, I did like from the perspective of everybody who's watching this, there could be a lot of new football fans, as we witnessed all football season long with a whole bunch of new football fans thanks to Taylor Swift. I like how they incorporated breaking down very simplistic things that traditional football fans would know, but they didn't make it dumbed down in a way that it was just in your face all the time. It was a very quick thing. I enjoyed that aspect.
Yeah, they. And now this is for the underground F1 people. They didn't drive to survive it. Where there's moments in that show where, God bless it, but every year they have Will Buxton say the most basic thing every single year over and over again. And it's become a running joke at this point. Yeah.
They made it easier for sure. So the off-season edition of Hard Knocks with the New York Giants is going to be 5 parts running through July 30th. Going to take you behind the scenes of everything with the Giants, and we as Eagles fans are going to have a little bit of bias in this, but we have to say, from just a football fan perspective, there's a lot wrong with that Giants front office. They are very inept in, I would say, a lot of facets, especially with their pro scouting department, and just thinking that they had the ability to lure away some of these big time free agents as they're getting ready to build their free agency board. I was audibly laughing when they brought up Chris Jones's name as a potential target for the Giants this offseason.
Yeah, sure, bud.
Sure, pal. Sure, Jan. He's not leaving the Chiefs. I also found it comical when they're talking about Saquon Barkley, because he is going to be the ever-present discussion topic throughout these 5 episodes. I can already tell. The fact that when they're breaking down their running back free agent board, it just kicks off with Zach Moss. And that's no slight to Zach Moss. The dude's in the NFL. I can't knock him. But when you're talking about trying to find ways to bring Saquon Barkley back, and then your first pivot is Zach Moss, is pretty fucking funny.
Zach Moss and Devin Singletary.
Yeah. It's
hold on, let me quickly check something.
It's okay, Joe Shine. Did that work in Buffalo for you? I don't think so.
Two running backs were 5'10" and 5'9".
Cool. They can pass block. Great. for your $40 million quarterback that you should have never given $40 million to. And that part also had me cracking up, is the entire time Joe Shane is trying to preach to the front office and all of his executives around him that they need to build protection around Daniel Jones. Him saying that Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have been able to thrive behind who they were throwing out there at offensive line last year is pretty funny, because Patrick Mahomes can probably play in front of anybody and be better than what Daniel Jones was, even in front of a competent offensive line. But the fact that he's like hammering that home, and then they go and draft a wide receiver is pure gold.
I'm gonna make myself look like an idiot so I can do this thing.
It's literally the Joe Burrow meme, but a poverty Joe Burrow meme, where it's like, oh, we draft Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow gets killed, or we draft Penei Sewell and throw to anybody and Joe Burrow's protected. Well, Daniel Jones isn't Joe Burrow, and you drafted Malik Neighbors. Congrats. Who's going to protect you? You guys were terrible at pass blocking, and that MetLife turf is the thing that's destroying you. So, cheers. Good luck, pals. I also found it very funny that they thought they could sign DeAndre Swift, as if a Philly native was going to go and play for the Giants. Good luck. It also like showcases how off the mark the Giants front office was in terms of evaluating free agent like markets for positional groups and how the markets were going to play out, because they're talking about, oh, the second week of free agency, we can get some real steals at the running back position. Running backs flew off the market week one. All of those big names that they showcased as replacements potentially for Saquon Barkley were gone. And it was just like, you guys completely missed the mark. And if I'm anybody in their pro scouting department watching this show, I'm like shitting my pants that I'm going to get fired, because you're showcasing how inept you are and how just like out of touch you are with the pro scouting department. And I love it as an Eagles fan, but it sets the tone and gives you, Joe Shane's going to be your main player in this series, and he loves his peanut butter and jelly.
Let's go get a goddamn snack.
Let's go drive down the highway with some peanut butter and jellies that my wife packed for me. He was also lying out of his ass that he didn't know the radio station for fucking WFAN. Get the fuck out of here. You operate a team that is in the New York market, and you're telling me, oh, if you asked me to turn on the sports channel, I wouldn't know what channel it was. My fucking ass, Joe Shane. That was pure gold.
The funniest part is he's probably done multiple radio appearances too.
Yes. Like, he tries to appear that he's disconnected from the media and everything when he is so tapped in, it's not even funny. I also love that they kind of showcase that like Brian Dable and Wink Martindale just like hate each other, and that's why Wink Martindale left. I was like, oh, cool. They just got into a fight, and that's what led to him getting fired. So you're going to bring in a guy from the Tennessee Titans who last year they were absolutely terrible. Sign me up. Sign me up for the incompetence of the New York Giants. I am loving every second of what we have seen so far. And the fact that they are just caping so hard for Daniel Jones, it just makes me feel so good. And I hope every single one of you Looney Tunes that work at our local radio station are watching this and realize how fucking lucky we are to have Jalen Hurts.
I mean, I don't know if they could make that connection given some of the recent news today.
Woo-wee. Man, talk about accountability.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
What did you make though of this being like a first installment to a new spin-off of Hard Knocks and it being kind of a glimpse into a front office rather than the actual team itself.
I'm interested and I find it enjoyable, but I'd much prefer to be with an actually smart team
Yeah.
because with it being the Giants, it feels bad. Like give me the Eagles, the Rams, the Ravens, the Packers, like teams with well-established GMs and drafting history.
But you know what, Christian? We're never going to see those teams on there because they're too smart to say yes.
Well, the Ravens have the normal Hard Knocks be for it now. Jeffrey Lurie is never gonna let those cameras in the fucking building.
No chance. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this all plays out. So it's gonna go from January to July of 2024, from the scouting combine to free agency to the NFL draft to team mini camps, which will be really cool. I'm excited to see how it all plays out. I don't know if there's a way for us to rate Hard Knocks per se. I guess we could rate it on the laugh scale as Eagles fans, and this gets a 5 out of 5 laughs for me.
This gets a capital LOL.
Let us know if you are watching Hard Knocks Offseason with the New York Giants in the YouTube comment section, how you enjoyed the first episode. Let us know if you're a Giants fan tuning in, and how you feel about your front office being put on full display. And if you feel the same way we do as outsiders looking into your favorite team, and if you're an Eagles fan watching, which I'm sure most of you who are watching are, go Birds, baby. Without any further ado, let's get into everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer. I'm wearing the Kenny shirt of the summer right now if you're watching on YouTube. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, only 120 calories, and just 8 grams of carbs. Guys, go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Finder. CU's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland areas. You can also get it at your local liquor stores in those markets. And if you're going to the Man Center in Philly at all this summer, you can get Tallboy Kenny's at the Man Center all season long. Check out the storefront for the awesome pint glasses and these awesome shirts, great apparel from our friends at Kenwood Beer. So go to kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. Christian, I think this is the news in terms of streaming that got streaming started in the first place. And it's a sad day. It's a bad day. Earlier this week, Redbox's owner has filed for bankruptcy. Employees haven't received paychecks for over a week. Money is owed to major entities, including Walmart, Walgreens, Universal, Sony, and Warner Brothers. They face over a dozen lawsuits for unpaid bills, and the company is nearly $1 billion in debt. T's and P's to Redbox.
It's almost impressive that I went that wrong.
Yeah. Now that is something I would like to see a behind the scenes just story on, is the rise and fall of Redbox.
If I may hop in for one here, we got some sad news today of the passing of a legendary screenwriter, Robert Towne. So, for those of you who may or may not know who Robert Towne is, Robert Towne is considered to be one of the greatest writers in movie history. He's most famously known for winning the Oscar for writing what I consider to be the best screenplay ever in 1974's Chinatown. But he's also directed. He also wrote movies like Days of Thunder. But the more important thing about him is the work he's done on movies that he is uncredited for. So movies he has a written credit on are like Chinatown, Tom Cruise's NASCAR film Days of Thunder, The Firm, and the first two Mission Impossible films. Robert Town also was involved in Bonnie and Clyde, The Godfather, The Parallax View, Marathon Man, Reds, and Crimson Tide. So just a man who understood stories so well and wrote one of my in my opinion one of the best stories ever. It's sad to see him go. Died at the age of 89.
We also earlier this week lost a legend in Martin Mull, who I think a lot of our generation knows as that ever esteemed voice of Vlad Plasmus from Danny Phantom. But you want to talk about another storied, elegant career of just banger after banger of comedy and acting. 80 years old. Just pulling up his list here of filmography, from our lifetime per se, uh, especially in the TV world. He was Paul Prickly on Recess. He did voice acting on The Simpsons, Family Guy. He was Dennis Tucker in The Wild Thornberrys. He was the voice of MAR-10 on Dexter's Laboratory. He was on Reba, Hollywood Squares, if you remember that game show, banger of a game show. Reno 911, like I mentioned, Danny Phantom. He was on Arrested Development for 6 episodes. Voice actor on American Dad, Crumbs. Made an appearance on Law and Order SVU. He was Russell on 2.5 Men. He was on Community for a couple of episodes. He was in Veep for 4 episodes. NCIS Los Angeles, he made an appearance on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was a voice actor on Bob's Burgers. Just a ton of great appearances, and his voice is so recognizable and iconic. Obviously was on Roseanne in the early to mid 90s, The Golden Girls. Just an absolute legend, and will definitely be missed as well. I have personal news for TV and movie of somebody who followed one of our podcasts over the last week. The one and only, I talked about it on OTB because that is the podcast that he followed. But he is a legend and hero of mine, of my childhood and my adulthood, and that is the writer, director, and creator of One Boy Meets World, Christian. Mark Blutman followed OTB on Twitter. Shout out to Mark. He's the best and so funny. Two of his sons work for Barstool. You probably know his one son better as No Context College Football on Twitter. That is Liam Blutman, who runs that account. But Mark is awesome and created one of my favorite shows of all time in Boy Meets World, and obviously the sequel that did really well on Disney Channel in Girl Meets World. He also was back for that, as were most of the original writers and a lot of the original cast as well. But shout out to Mark Blutman for showing some love and following OTB.
One quick piece of news here, in what feels like a weird choice, but it'll be interesting to see. The film that will open the Venice Film Festival at the end of August, Beetlejuice.
Interesting, for sure.
Yeah, very.
It sounds like the creator of Ed, Edd, and Eddy listens to the pod, Christian. Danny Antonucci on a revival series. Quote, "It will fail miserably. They could have done a lot of things like spin-offs with some of the characters. I've been told you can do it for Adult Swim and they're all grown up, but then you're just repeating an idea It was what it was, and to go back and revisit would not be the same.
I would just like to say that weirdly over the last like few days, my YouTube Shorts feed has been feeding me Danny Phantom and edited Eclipse, and I haven't watched a single episode on YouTube, so that's not strange at all.
That is pretty interesting.
We have the date for the next Denis Villeneuve film, December 18th, 2026. I will be seated. I'm already pre-seated over 2 years in advance. Let's go.
Are you ready to feel a little old today, Christian? Released 17 years ago. A classic. Ratatouille. Ratatouille's got his driver's license.
We did forget to mention another sad death. I don't remember if we had recorded at this point, but Bill Cobbs. Classic that guy.
Yeah, if you see his face, you know him for sure. That was also a bummer when I saw that roll across the timeline. We teased it earlier in the show. It seems like we are teeing up to have the second guest in StreamerSZN history. That just occurred on a whim because I saw the post come through today. Pulling it up here if I can find it in my replies on the tweet machine. So, because I want to pull up where it actually came from. And it's missing from my timeline for some reason. But I am following him. So Eric Rogers on Twitter was tweeting about how the Hollywood Reporter put an article out about the ever viral Hawk Tua girl and how she has signed with an agency and tweeted and said, "I'd like to kindly remind this ridiculous industry that I have a series on Amazon right freaking now with an EP and created by credits, and I'm the showrunner, and all caps, agents won't rep me. I guess this is our biz Hawk Tua-ing on so many of us with this nonsense." To which I said, "Hey, Eric, while not an agent, we'd love to have you on StreamerSZN sometime to talk about your projects." And he said, "I love doing pods. Count me in." Which then Christian and I went on a deep dive on his IMDb, and his current show that he is the showrunner, writer, and executive producer on is Angry Birds Mystery Island on Amazon Prime and Amazon Kids Plus. But for our age demo, he worked on NYPD Blue and the good old-fashioned classic episodes of Futurama.
Great.
Very excited. Would be the second guest in this show's history, followed by the great Mike Horowitz, which I'm still intrigued. His Twitter bio says that he's working on an HBO series. I don't know what it is. That was also pre-strike that was in his bio, so I don't know if the project's still going on, but I hope it is because Mike Horowitz is the best. But yeah, looks like we're going to have our second guest in podcast history, which will be a lot of fun. We got another teaser for Deadpool and Wolverine featuring Sabretooth.
I'm just avoiding all the teasers at this point, and I'm just only watching the trailer that has the Madonna song, and I'm hoping that this isn't the. I just have a general fear with this movie where we're all hyping ourselves up to the nth degree, and it's like, but what if it's just mid?
I'm trying not to think that way. I'm trying to be excited, but also having like the tempered expectations, but not thinking about the tempered expectations. The month from hell, June TV shows, Rotten Tomato scores are booming, Christian. All four of the big banger shows have an above 83% or above score. The Boys season 4 and The Bear season 3 both come in at 93%. House of the Dragon season 2 is sitting at 91%, and The Acolyte sitting at 83%. The month of June, living up to the hype. Moving right along here. So, like we mentioned earlier, Manny Jacinto confirmed that the Stranger in the Acolyte is a Sith Lord. It's the first new live-action Sith introduced since 2002, according to Entertainment Weekly.
Congrats to the Sith.
Sith boys. Sithy boys. Moving right along here. Making me feel old, and I'm sure this will make you feel old as well. Spider-Man 2 released 20 years ago, earlier this week. That's yucky.
Yikes.
Inside Out 2 crosses $1 billion at the worldwide box office. It's the fastest animated film to reach this milestone.
Saw it. It's fun. I like it more than the first one, but the Inside Out movies still aren't my bag.
Speaking more box office, A Quiet Place Day 1 debuts with $98.5 million at the worldwide box office. Biggest opening day yet for the franchise. The film's budget was $67 million.
I would just like to speak for all movie theater workers in that we are about to enter hell tomorrow because Despicable Me 4 comes out.
They're going to steal the moon.
They're going to steal our sanity, all these little kids.
The girls are
running-
going to steal your sanity, Christian.
Girls? The little boys are worse.
Christian, I'm going to give you the floor because this has hit your heart so much you posted it on your Instagram story. How excited are you for Gladiator?
Okay, so I've talked about this on this show before, but I need to talk through the timeline of this to where we learn Ridley Scott's doing Gladiator 2, and I go, why? This doesn't need to exist. And then we get Paul Mescal. And then we get Barry Keoghan, and then we don't get Barry Keoghan. And then we get Pedro Pascal and Denzel. And I'm like, well, shit, I now have to be in on this film. And now we got set photos. And I'm nudging more in on this film. And now I'm nudging more in on this one because it visually looks good. But here's the thing with the thing with Ridley Scott. A lot of his films fucking look good. But it's the fucking story. So this could either be like what's a good example of this? Pull up Ridley Scott filmography to try and phrase this best. This could either be scrolling. If it'll show up. Yeah, so this could either be, let's just say, sure, this could either be Prometheus and be like a movie that looks great, but it's like it's fine. Or this could just be Gladiator again.
Oh, I can't wait for you to just give your full on unfiltered thoughts on this movie on this show.
Well, hey, Kyle, how excited are you for? How excited are you for Glicked?
That's Wicked and
Gladiator 2,
Gladiator.
same weekend.
Huh.
Glicked.
I could see that doing pretty well.
We've got to get your boss on to do a Wicked pod.
Yeah. I gotta talk to her about that for sure. When do they come out?
I believe it's the end of November. Wicked release date is now. So first of all, Wicked this week moved off the same release date as Moana 2. And now it's November 22nd.
Interesting. This is really cool for me as somebody who has seen them perform. And am a fan of a lot of their music. Michael J. Fox played guitar with Coldplay during their performance of Fix You at Glastonbury. That was pretty sweet.
Glastonbury is a festival that for me is fun to look at, but I would never go.
100%. 100%.
You got one more, Kyle?
I have a couple more. The Boys showrunner says virtual product placement is real, and Amazon pitched them to do it in the show. They said no and made fun of it instead.
The Boys. We like to make fun of stuff.
A couple things here that I have left. Super Smash Brothers universe, Christian. There's a Metal Gear Solid film that is still in development. We're working on the script some more. I think everyone's going to be really excited and surprised. Bring me Snake. Super Smash Brothers universe, full-fledged. Joseph Quinn says he's probably practicing Flame On for an hour collectively already. Paramount is looking at merging its streaming service with another platform. Warner Brothers Discovery is reportedly interested in combining Paramount Plus with Max.
Which I'm going to say this now. Paramount should do that because Paramount Plus is losing money really bad, and also, given what Zaslav has done to Max, look how they've massacred my boy. I will happily take the one of the greatest television backlogs and putting it along with the HBO back catalog, so I can go from watching Succession to The Last of Us to watching the Twilight Zone.
To Survivor to SpongeBob.
To Cake Boss.
Right to the Looney Tunes. Combined, the companies carry nearly $60 billion in debt, with a substantial part due to the aggressive pivot to streaming. Paramount also confirms they're looking at partnering with a technology platform.
But news that came out today is Sherry Redstone is finalizing the sale, is in the early stages of finalizing the sale of the company to David Ellison, son of one of the 5 richest men in the world.
Bring me the money. This is like a collision course of our brains. being cast in Blade Runner 2099 is
No, we're not doing this.
Matthew Needham, who for the Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon people out there, he's our foot fetish boy in House of the Dragon. I thought this was a cool quote from Hugh Jackman on his role with the original X-Men movie and his relationship with Kevin Feige. It came from Entertainment Weekly. He said that when he thought he failed his Wolverine audition for X-Men, Kevin Feige took him for a meal and drove him back to the airport. I said, Kevin, we all know I'm not getting the part. You don't have to do dinner. But no, he sat in there and had a steak dinner with me and then drove me to the airport. I'll never forget it. That was the nicest thing. I thought I'll never see him again.
And look how it turned out.
And look how it turned out. That's why you always be nice to your production assistants, because that's what Kevin Feige was at the time. Last bit here. Ryan Reynolds says he has another project in development with Hugh Jackman that's unrelated to superheroes. It will be their first non-CBM project together. Quote, I would say that ours is like any relationship that is successful and works. It's that two parties are rooting for each other. I'm always rooting for Hugh to score and win. I also know the infinite nuance of his heart and his mind and who he is. I can say firsthand that he's a person who's not just worth rooting for. He's somebody who's impossible to not root for.
Just make an actual buddy cop film.
I would love that. Would love that. How do you feel about Michael Rooker's quote about TikTok ruining the attention span of moviegoers?
I mean, it's TikTok, it's YouTube, it's just phones in general.
Valid. Christopher Reeve's son, Will Reeve, will appear in James Gunn's Superman.
Cool.
Love that. And then the last one here. Here's the one to make us feel really old because it's before I was even born. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, released 33 years ago today.
And I'll do you something else. We officially have the date of the Terminator anime. It's coming out in November.
That'll be solid. That is all we got for you guys. Christian introduced it to me before we started recording. There's a Suicide Squad anime on Max that looks absolutely chaotic. Might have to tap into that as well. You said there's 3 episodes out already. Do we know how long of a season it is?
Off the top of my head, no, but all the episodes are like 20 minutes.
Not bad. So we might be tapping into that as well. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and at StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. Follow Christian at the Wiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It really goes a long way for helping us hit new milestones, allows the show to continue to grow, and lets more people find Streamer Season. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. Smash the like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below about anything we discussed on today's episode, shows and movies you're watching. You can also follow us on Letterboxd. Just search Streamer Season on there as well. And get your merch from our awesome merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. Go to phiapparel.co and use code Underground for 10% off your order. And this has been another edition of Streamer Season, the official streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Christian, I'm KB. We are going to go debate whether we're Jedi or Sith in Westeros and laugh at the New York Giants. But until then, we'll see you guys on the next episode.